24th Pampa City Commission meeting. If you'd all stand with me, we'll let Commissioner Gowdy do the invocation.
Father God, we just thank you for the opportunity to come together this afternoon, Lord, to continue to serve you and to serve the citizens of Pampa. Lord, I pray that your favor continue to be poured out upon our community and its citizens. Lord, I pray that you continue to guide each one of us to lead in a way that is honoring and pleasing to you, Lord. Father, as we meet today, Lord, I want to lift up Mary DeFever to you. Lord, I pray that you put your healing hands upon him and just continue to restore his body the way that you designed it to function. Lord, we ask all these things in your name. Amen.
Amen. Turn and face the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Do we have any citizens to speak at this time? If not, we'll get into our discussions. And I believe that's Teresa.
Okay, you should all see your presentation there on your slideshow.
On the one next to it.
I'm sorry, I forgot to print these out for you today. Okay, this one, if you remember, just getting started, we'll go through all of the different funds that the city has as far as getting ready to get into the budget. We'll go through this and we'll talk to you a little bit about the different types of revenues that each fund has, the different types of expenditures that they have, and how we're going to balance that fund. We'll start off with the special revenues, and so those are our smaller funds. It'll be a little bit easier to understand just going straight into it. Oh. Kevin, it's not switching out there. That was me. Sorry, guys.
There we go.
Okay, so looking at the special revenue funds, if you're not real familiar with those are the non-major funds. And so in all of our type of special revenue funds, these are going to have restrictions or going to be sorry, they're going to be restricted, or they're going to have purpose. They're going to have committed purposes. So whenever you're looking through those, just understand that they're still going. Some of these that you're going to see here are still going to be considered governmental fund or part of the governmental funds. They just have special restrictions on them. Can I do it with my keyboard?
Right there.
And the next one.
One more.
Okay, here's a list of all of the different funds that we have. Within the non-governmental funds, you have your controlled substances, which is primarily used by our police department. These are different types of funds that we deal with whenever we have seizures and things of that sort. Fund 21 is our MK Brown Auditorium. The Fund 23 is our tax increment reinvestment zone, which will be our first year to really discuss that. Fund 25 is our library, and Fund 26 is our public safety grants. Okay, just getting into the controlled substances. This is Fund 15, but most of the time you'll hear us say controlled substances. This account is basically just to go in and handle for us to be able to control the types of expenditures and revenues that are coming in that are from properties that are seized or property that are forfeited over to the city from the county and different sorts of that. All of these funds have to be reported annually to the comptroller office. Chief and his staff send in an asset forfeiture program that they have to submit this, so it has to balance out through that. As of right now, there aren't any expenditures that we're expecting to be paid out of this fund. We don't have any revenues or any properties that we are anticipating coming in. That could possibly change at the end of the year. Here we have our MK Brown. MK Brown, you'll see there to the right, you'll see the $381,950 as anticipated revenue for this. Primarily, the revenue for MK Brown consists of your hotel occupancy tax. The hotel occupancy tax is broken down a little bit further into the slideshow here, but again, our MK Brown Center is rented out for different events. And there is, many of you will remember that years and years and years ago, there was a $350,000 endowment that was placed for MK Brown to help run MK Brown. That is invested, and so there is a $6,000 transfer from other fund, and those are the investments that $350,000 endowment gives. Here you can see just a 10-year comparison of our hotel occupancy tax. Just a little bit of history on the hotel occupancy tax. We have a 7% tax on all overnight stays within the city that are related to hotels, bed and breakfast, things of that sort. So these revenues here are mandated by law that they have to be spent in certain areas, and the primary revenue or the primary expenditures that the hotel occupancy tax that the city receives are paid through the MK Brown, or paid to the MK Brown Convention Center, as well as the tourism agreement for the Chamber and Freedom Museum. But you can see we've had a dip in 18-19 where the revenues really started to decrease. We're starting to see more of the hotel occupancy tax increase over the past few years. 2022 was not the norm. We had some past due statements that were needing to be paid, and so that one was caught up through that. So that's not norm. We talked a little bit about the chamber, the agreement with the Chamber of Commerce. So the new agreement will be coming up in September of 2024. You'll see them coming to present that to you soon. Back in 2022, whenever we renewed this agreement, the hot revenue was a max of $50,000, and we increased it to $75,000. So every quarter, the city pays for all of the revenue that we receive every quarter. We give them 15% up to $75,000 in revenue. Our expenditures here are $401,950 for MK Brown. So you can see there that the personnel and contractual, those are large portions of MK Brown. This is just a fund balance review over MK Brown, a reconciliation. You can see that revenues are $381,950. Expenditures come in at $401,950, leaving us a deficit of $20,000. We will pull $20,000 from their fund balance for a roof repair. This roof repair, you'll see in just a minute that there was a leak on the main roof, and instead of replacing the entire roof at this time, they've come up with a solution to be able to just repair it. Here in MK Brown, over the next 5 years, there is about $831,000 in capital requests that they are requesting for MK Brown. A large portion of that is going to come from the roof repair that we know eventually we will have to replace. There, you can see in the information that's down below that, in the current year, they are requesting $178,280. Those are to replace the section of the roof for the $200,000 or the $20,000 that we have budgeted into their budget that you just seen. She has also requested a media player upgrade for $27,280. Last that we discussed with her, you know, with the large speakers that have been coming in and the information that she's needing, she's just requested that eventually in the next few years that we probably need to consider doing something to upgrade the speakers and the microphone and things of that sort.
And that's all in the Heritage Room.
Yes.
Yeah. The auditorium has just been recently replaced, sound and video, so this is for the Heritage Room. And it became obvious during the House hearings that we had there on the fires that we were kind of behind the curve on media and sound and everything in that room.
And I think it had like a projector in there as well, so there was a lot of big technology things she was needing to purchase. Again, there on the bottom in the Heritage Room as well, she's wanting to do just some paint upgrades. She wants to kind of modernize it and do that as well. Equipment, fixtures, and replacements. This is just a variety of different equipment, fixtures, or improvements that she may come across each year. We used to budget for $25,000 each year, and then once hotel occupancy tax went down and we didn't have those revenues coming in, this has kind of been one of those capital projects that just keeps getting pushed back further and further. The digital marquee sign, this is being considered, and we will hope to bring some information to you on that at a later date. Any questions about MK Brown? Okay. Next one is our, the Fund 23, it's the tax increment reinvestment zone. This is our first year to really see these numbers coming through. And so this zone, if you remember, it was created back in 2022, and it has to be in compliance with Chapter 311. Going through this, there is a committee that has been formed for them to review everything that goes through this fund. And so the idea is that there is a zone of downtown, and so properties within that area, there is a particular portion of any improvements on that. The taxes go into this fund for improvements, for things that are projects that the committee or that the city wants to pursue later on down the road.
Yeah, if you recall that basically when we established that, it took a snapshot of the property value in that zone at the time, and then any improvements or increases in the property value go into that TERS fund. Once it's built up, then the committee that she's talking about would kind of have some input and recommendations to the commission as to how to spend that money on projects.
So currently, for our first year that we were able to see any benefit from this zone, the first year, the fund balance in this is $20,194. Portion of the city's portion was $11,771, and the county's portion was $8,423. So the hope is that over years this will continue to grow and we can do some major improvements within that area.
Real quick on that, just you'll see there the city's portion and the county's portion, that's not money that's available to those entities. That's the tax money that's been paid into that fund
Correct.
from each entity.
Yes.
And both entities went with 100% on that TERS.
Right now, there's not any projects that are in place for this zone, so we have not heard of anything that they will be planning on doing in the upcoming budget year. There will not be anything budgeted for this one. We just wanted you guys to know what it was. Here is the library. I want to point out this nice paint that they have done out at the library. It's really upgraded the look to the library, and Misty and them are very appreciative and really like this. That was one of the capital projects that they completed last year. Here's a breakdown of the Leavitt Memorial Library. You can see that on the library, a portion of this is from property tax. So you have the current and delinquent and penalty and interest taxes. The other large portion of revenue for the library is a subsidy for a transfer in to help offset those expenses. Your expenditures, personnel, we have 4 full-time personnel in this with 3 part-timers. Those are $460,142 total for expenditures. This fund with the transfer in, it will balance out to zero at 460,142 in revenues and 460,142 in expenditures. Okay, Misty has requested over the next 5 years a total of $533,327 in capital expenditures. For her current year request, she has $133,150. And that number is wrong. I'm sorry, it's $5,150. For her information that she has in here, she is requesting that for the next 5 years, she's requesting a sprinkler system, some new sod, a new roof at the library. This is gonna be a common, word that you guys are gonna hear. There's lots of our buildings that need a new roof, so those are going to continue to increase. Staff parking lot, upgrade, she's wanting to include a handicap ramp, and some painting upgrades within the interior portions of the library. For the current budget year, we, as staff, has decided that we recommend that this project be delayed for the sidewalk and draining pad. This is something that we hope that maybe we would be able to do internally if possible, just depending on the type of where it is. So we do have some departments that are gonna look at that for us, but at this time, we feel like we could delay that until further notice. Any questions about the library? Okay. Public safety grant, this is our last one here in special revenues. This grant, this fund was created, I believe, 4 years ago. This is just primarily for us to be able to handle all of our public safety grants that are coming in. Police department and fire department, they've been really good at trying to receive grants and reach out for those. So it's just an easier way for us to be in compliance to make sure that we are not reaching that $750,000 single audit threshold. It allows us to be able to make sure that revenues that are coming in are truly being spent on the expenditures that they are, and that it's clear and easy to see, that it's easy to follow. Okay, that's all that we have for special revenues. Do you guys have any questions on any of those?
I do have a quick question going all the way back to the TERS zone. That tax money, just so I'm on the same page, that is separate from our grants that we're using to do the revitalization.
Absolutely, yes.
So can you give me an example of what that money would be used for if they come to us with any projects? Are we talking marquees or?
So it could be used for
something?
anything within that, in the improvements within that downtown area. However, the committee will present those information and then present it to Shane and to you guys, right?
And it's infrastructure improvements, so it could be streets, curbs, gutters, lighting, sidewalks, things of that nature in the zone.
Okay.
But it is separate from the downtown improvements that have been recently done. These funds have to strictly come and be approved to be spent through you guys. The committee is just set up to give guidance and to help come up with different projects ideas. Yeah. Is that correct, Shane?
That's right.
Anything else?
I think we're good.
Okay.
Thank you, Teresa.
You're welcome. Our next meeting, we'll discuss the enterprise funds.
We had a arrival with the citizen wanting to speak here, Mrs. Taylor. If you come up to the podium and state your name and address.
My name is B. Taylor, and I live at 1021 South Somerville Street. And my complaint is that it's a lot right behind my house there on Clark Street, has weeds on it as tall as trees. And here about 3 weeks ago, I was in my kitchen doing some dishes, and I looked, and it was 3 men coming out of those bushes, which was scary for me. And then when the guy came to cut my yard, he found out that I have a dog run there, which I keep the gate to the inside of my yard locked. But there's a hole has been cut in it, that big around. So what I'm asking is there any way that y'all can get that lot cut down or cleaned up or something? Because it's getting pretty scary for me.
Have you ever put it on the city app?
No, I don't know how. So I thought I'd come and bring it to you face to face. I'm 76 years old, and I mean, that's scary when you look out and you see 3 men crawling out of some weeds, you know. And when they seen me, then they just shot down the alley, you know. And then, like I said, the next day I found out that there had been a big old hole cut in my dog run, which I guess they decided not to try to climb the fence because I have it locked to the inside of my yard from the dog run. It's locked. But they had cut a huge hole. You could have just stepped in it, and that's scary for me, being an elderly person living alone. I live all by myself. I'm sure a lot of y'all knew my husband, James Taylor, which he knows me well, and I'm not a person that just wants to be saying something, to be doing something, I was scared, and I'm still scared.
Ms. Taylor, when you leave here, if you will go down to the second floor to room 205 and see Kimberly,
Okay.
she can help you get it put into the app, and then it'll be in our system, and we can track it from there, and we can see if we can get it taken care of.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And we could also, any commissioner here, if you need their number, we'll help you out with it.
I have his. I've been knowing him ever since his wife is one of my kids.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening.
With that, it'll bring us into our agenda items. Agenda item number 1, consider approving the minutes of the June 10th, 2024 regular commission meeting.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the June 10th, 2024 regular commission meeting as presented.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. The motion passes. Agenda item number 2, consider excusing the absence of Commissioner Reed from the June 10th, 2024 regular commission meeting.
Make a motion to excuse Commissioner Reed from the June 10th, 2024 regular commission meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion passes. Agenda item 3, consider approving the list of disbursements dated May 2024, with the total disbursements being $4,142,070.22, and after balance sheet and income accounts, $1,344,108.67.
I make a motion to approve the list of disbursements dated May 2024.
I will second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion passes. Okay, agenda item 4, rodeo arena lighting replacement project bid. Consider awarding the bid for the rodeo arena lighting replacement project.
Make a motion to award the bid for the rodeo arena lighting project to IKEO LED lighting as presented.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Same sign? That motion passes. I guess I should ask Dustin to speak.
Did I say that right? Is it IKEO?
Do you have anything to add?
Well, I'll just tell you, we awarded a grant from SECO, State Energy Office, to replace the lighting at the rodeo arena. The project has to be completed by August 31st, so this is why we're kind of pushing this through pretty quick. We were gone, but they opened the bids on Friday. We had 3 bids, and they come in substantially lower than the other 2. And we did do some reference checks because the company's out of Indianapolis, and it's a little bit scary as you're doing a project. But good references on anybody that would call us back on them. So they're very familiar with the lighting we're trying to do out there, and we'll get that fixed and kind of get rid of some energy suckers out there, hopefully, and we'll be in a better place than we were 50 years ago when that stuff was put in, or longer.
And this is just the arena itself,
This is
right?
just the arena itself, and when we get into it, we'll look and see if any of the security lighting or anything can be addressed as well. But this is a huge energy sucker out there. When we've been told by Excel, when they flip the switch, you might as well leave it on for 24, 48 hours because it initially just pulls that much energy right off the bat. So this is much needed change out there. So trying to squeeze this in before their rodeo or right after. So we'll see where it goes. I'll answer any questions if you have anything.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions? Thank you, Dustin. I'm sorry I ran past you. Agenda item 5 is an interlocal agreement with TML Risk Pool. Consider authorizing the city manager to enter into a interlocal agreement with Texas Municipal League Intergovernmental Risk Pool for cyber liability and data breach response.
I make a motion to authorize the city manager to enter into an interlocal agreement with TML Intergovernmental Risk Pool as presented.
Second.
Teresa, do you have anything to?
This is just, we've been approached from TML over all of our insurance needs that they have. We are under one umbrella for all of our workers' comp, personnel, personal property, everything is all under one umbrella currently with TML. And so what they're looking at with the increases in cyber liability and data breaches, they're looking at taking this portion of the risk management out and putting it in its own pool. So this pool will be made up of all cities that decide to participate in this agreement, and it will be maxed at certain limits compared to what they currently are. There's some new requirements in a base plan and a base plus plan that the city can opt into. So they're just wanting to really put some limits on the types of insurance coverage that we have, the risks that they're going to be facing. They have set out some information for our IT department to be able to reach out to TML to make sure that we're in compliance. So we'll probably come to you guys and try to increase some policies and things of that sort later on, but all of this has to be implemented before the end of September, and so we wanted to go ahead and push this through. Really, it's just a cleanup for them to be able to put some more limitations and focus on the cybersecurity outside of the other risk pool plans that they have. Do you know any more or have anything to add?
No, I think you covered it well. I think they're trying to protect the pool itself, and that way they're not covering some huge liability on the tech side that eats up their pool, so they're wanting to kind of separate it out. And then those who participate in that will be insured to a certain level. Once that fund grows and gets big enough, I'm sure those amounts will increase, but I think they're just trying to protect their main pool.
Right. On one of them, it said something that the max was going to be 25 million for the entire pool. And so you look at that and you see most payouts are, I think Troy said 5 million apiece. And so the third party liability, they're putting some limits on that as well. And Tyler Technology had a big data breach a couple of years ago. So enough of these data breaches have happened that they're having to really look at their risk. So that's all that this is just allowing us to be able to go into a second fund or a second pool with them.
Does anybody else have any other questions?
It won't increase our cost any. We're basically paying that into the big pool now for this coverage, so it'll just separate that out.
Yes.
Good deal. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion passes. Agenda item 6, professional service agreement with Jacobs. Consider authorizing the city manager to enter into a professional service agreement with Jacobs for a pilot test at the wastewater facility.
I make a motion to authorize the city manager to enter into a professional service agreement with Jacobs as presented.
I second.
I'm not gonna overlook you.
I was hoping, Jimmy.
I know.
So, this agreement is with Jacobs Engineering, and they'll oversee the pilot test, they'll coordinate it. We have selected Aqua Aerobics to bring in their pilot test unit. We're gonna use disc filters on our effluent to see if it will treat the effluent to type 1 standards. So that's one part of this. The second part would be if everything works out fine, then the second part would go into design of this.
And this will be a pass-through. Any cost associated with this will be passed through to Intersect Power.
Sounds good. Any other questions?
Nope.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion passes. And that concludes the meeting.